So I'm starting to realize it's becoming a little harder and harder to be a fan of the UFC and to enjoy and wake up every Saturday and be like, hey, there's a good fight going on. I can spend hours of my life watching this because I get something in return. I don't feel that no more. I'm going to keep watching. I'm going to keep covering the topic because I love the sport. But I don't feel like I get anything in return. I feel like a lot of people don't feel like they get anything in return. When you become a loyal fan to the UFC and you love the UFC and you want to support them, they give you Piper Hermanson. Imagine, and I'm sure a lot of y'all don't have to imagine. I'm not calling, don't take that in the wrong way, but it's like, you're working a 9 to 5. It's a long week. You come home, your wife or girlfriend, your fucking boyfriend, whatever, is just nagging the fuck out of you. You're annoyed. You've had a bad day, exhausting week. You go on Twitter and you see Dana White's face. And he's red. He's in the war room. It's an announcement. It's a huge fight announcement. And he just announces Tybor Spivak 2. He just announces Tybor Spivak 2. You've had a bad day. Your life feels miserable. You feel like there's no reason to live. And you look to Twitter. You look to Instagram. You look to Dana White to give you something to look forward to next week. And he gives you Lemos versus John Daroba. And you're like, okay, you know what? Maybe there's next week. So you wait another month. You had some decent cards, some alright shit. Nothing insane. Nothing where you're fucking kicking your feet about to thank the UFC. Nothing huge. And one of those weeks happen where you just get fired. No reason, you just get fired. You lost your salary. You have to go home to your girlfriend and just be like, hey, I lost my job. I'm sorry. I'll find a new one. We'll get through this. So you go on Twitter to try to escape the real world and try to have some fun in your life. And you see Dana White, and he announces Derek Lewis versus Nascimento as a Fight Night main event. As a fan of the UFC, it kind of hurts. It kind of hurts a little bit that this is what we get. And I'm starting to feel worse every day. Every single time I see an announcement, I'm happy for the sport. I'm happy that they're rich enough to where they can just tell us, hey, fuck off, and we don't need you no more. I'm happy as the fans of the sport. We brought this business just a lot of success, a lot of everything. And I, for one, as a huge fan, cannot wait for them to go bankrupt. I can't wait for them to maybe not go bankrupt, but if they lose their Saudi deals, as a fan, I am happy. I will be the happiest man alive because we'll be seeing, instead of fights like Luis Nascimento, we'll be seeing great fights. Maybe not great fights. Maybe not ranked, fight night fights, but you don't need ranked fight night fights. You could put on Peyton Talbot versus Cody Garbrandt right now as a main event. I'm fine with it. I'll watch it. You don't need ranked people. You just need to know who your prospects are and the names in your division are. But like I said, let's go back to the real world, right? You've had a hard week. This is the 5th hard week you've had in a row. Your favorite fighter just got knocked out by Alex Pereira. You're sad. You're in your bed. You're having nightmares about one of your favorite fighters getting head kicked in the face, flatlined, and wondering, he'll never get a title shot again because he just got knocked out for the 2nd time. He'll never get that title shot as long as Alex Pereira is champion. So you look on Twitter, and you're like, okay, maybe there's some new fight news. And Dana White, you see his red face. You see him there. He looks happy. He looks like he's about to announce a huge card. You're happy. You're getting hyped. And then it's Ribas versus Namajunas. That was my reaction to literally almost all of these. I was hyped. I was happy. I wanted to kill myself after. In GTA. I didn't want to be on Earth anymore. I saw this and I didn't want to be here. I didn't want to wait another week. I didn't It wasn't worth waiting another week. And Dana White just smiles at you. And you see him in the war room the night before the fights. And you're like, "Oh my god, he's going to announce something huge." And then he looks at you dead in your eyes and tells you, "If you don't know, now you know. Nami Nunez, Doug Rose is fighting Amanda Ribas," and it hurts. It hurts. It really hurts because not only is it, it's the UFC Apex where there's no crowd at all. There's no crowd. At least for like Nami Nunez, Tracy Cortez, there was a crowd. So you're like, okay, I'm getting a little hype for this. The crowd's making you hype. Gene Silva versus Drew Dober. The crowd made you hyped. And then we see Rosenstruik versus Gaziev in the Apex. And you can't help to feel sad and embarrassed to be a fan. And you want to show your other friends some MMA. You want to show them, hey, look at this card. It's gonna be so much fun. We're gonna watch it for hours. Let me get some pizza. And it's gonna be 7 decisions in a row of the worst fights you've ever seen in your life. And then you gotta tell them, hey, like clear your schedule. Let's come back next week and we can watch Israel versus Dricus. But they don't trust you anymore because the shit you just showed them. They don't trust you. We are actively going downhill. We're in a huge decline, probably the biggest decline I've ever seen in my life. And you come home, your friends hate you because you made them watch 7 hours worth of dog shit. You hate yourself because you sat there watching 7 hours of dog shit, working a 9 to 5 job for $29K a year. You can't pay off anything. The only thing you had in your life is that you're a huge fan of UFC and you're like, you know what? I hate my boss, I hate my job, I hate all this. UFC won't betray me. UFC is the one I can trust. Dana White makes me happy. Watching the UFC and being an active fan, makes me happy. You can't be happy. You can't be happy watching Tybor Spivak because it means nothing. You're watching it and you're like, okay, it's a rematch. Oh my god, it's a rematch. And then you realize the winner gets nothing. And it means nothing. And you're like, okay, well at least I sat here. Maybe I can watch these future potential matches. You can't. Because they're not going to fight for another year, and when they do fight, they're going to come back to the Apex and fight Gelton Almeida. So it's an endless cycle of shit. It's an endless cycle of just Dana White putting feces on your forehead and just saying, "Oh, well, I guess you can enjoy this." It's like it's like you're the toilet. You're a toilet in a 5-star hotel. You're the best toilet ever. You take all this shit. And then Dana White comes in and he's like, you know what? You're a pretty good toilet. Let me make sure you're a good toilet by just shitting in you and pissing in you over and over again and flushing it down your fucking hole. It's disrespect. It's embarrassing. They don't care. They don't care about you. So you're like, okay. This sport I've loved for years. I've been here during the hard times. I've been here during all the times when fighters were about to stew the UFC, when we lost Ngannou, when we lost our huge stars. And we were like, you know what? We'll still stand by them. So we still stand by them. And we're like, okay, the hard times are over. I'm looking for a bright future. There's no bright future. There's there's no bright future. You you're gonna watch Tybor Spivak because you're a huge fan, and you're gonna go to sleep thinking, "Oh man, I can't wait for the huge matchups they're gonna do after this. I can't. We sat through a boring card. Let's get a good card now." And then you're gonna watch Ribas versus Nami Nunez, and then you're gonna watch Joe Piper versus Jack Hermanson, and then you're gonna watch Chris Curtis versus Brendan Allen, and you're gonna sit there, and you're gonna fucking watch it, and you're gonna say, "Oh, this card's so trash. I'm not gonna watch it." But you're such a just an autistic little retard for MMA that you watch it, and you just think it's gonna get better. It's not gonna get better. It's bad. It's gonna stay bad. You're gonna stay miserable and depressed, and there's not gonna be any better days. It's this. I know we've been saying, oh, there's some dark days in the UFC. Fucking Tony Ferguson gets injured against Khabib. That's exciting news compared to this. You watch that, and you're like, oh my god, Tony Ferguson's injured. Who's the backup fighter going to be? It's a huge guess. Who's the backup fighter going to be? It could be anything. It could be super fights up a weight class like Volkanovski Makhachev. And then when that fight happens, you watch Volkanovski get knocked out by a head kick. You watch him get knocked out by Ilia Topuria. And then you watch Ribas versus Nami Nunez. You watch Gaziev versus... Who's that? Rosenstruik. You watch Tybor versus Taito Ivasa. You watch Tybor versus Spivak. And you sit there for hours and you don't like watching it. It's not fun to watch. You hate watching it. You hate being reminded of the constant pain that it brings you. And you still watch it. Because you're a fan. You're a loyal fan. And they use you like a fleshlight. They don't give a fuck. They will use you like a fleshlight. And this is only the beginning. I guarantee you, this is only the beginning. We're going to see Modestas Bukauskas in a main event against, I don't know. I don't even know anymore. If you want some good news, I'll give you some good news. It's that the Apex is going to be under construction for like 2 months, so we'll have some decent fights. If you want some other good news, I can just keep reminding you about your miserable life. Like, it's that easy. I don't know. Drickus versus Adesanya is about to happen, but like no one even cares because they just watched a bunch of dog shit fights and they assume, oh, this fight's gonna be dog shit because they don't care. The main card sucks. The main card's good. The prelims are whatever. It's like, I don't know. It's like you go through so much slaving away. You watch something for hours. You pay for something so that you can watch these fights. And at the end of the bad fights, at the end of everything, you can be like, you know what? At least this is going to pay off. We're going to see something good. It's like NFL football. Your team is horrible, but they barely make playoffs. And you're like, okay, look, we had bad games, but we made it. And now we're in playoffs, and now we can maybe win a Super Bowl. There's no Super Bowl. There's no playoffs. There's nothing. We had a pay-per-view of Steve Erceg versus Pantoja and Jose Aldo versus Jonathan Martinez. I'm fine with those fights. 2 decent fights. Well, the Steve Erceg one was fucking horrible when it was announced. I was fine with those fights. And then you watch it. And then you're like, okay, 301 wasn't good, but it was just after 300. Benefit of the doubt. You didn't have many people. Let's get some good fights in here. I'm so excited for the future. UFC 300 stepped it up so much that this is the standard that they're going to start setting. and then they don't set that standard. And you sit there, chained to your couch. You had a depressing day. Your favorite fighter gets knocked out. All you want to do is cry in your sleep. But you can't. Because you have to watch Tybor or Spivak too. Because you're that much of a fan and you're that hooked on it. And you rely on it so much that it sucks. And I'm telling you this based off experience. I'm the autistic fan. I'm that guy who suffers every day trying to come up with well, I actually like making videos, but who suffers every weekend trying to watch these cards and be like, and just keep a smile on my face. I could be hanging out with my friends. I could be playing games. I could be having a productive life. But I don't. Every Saturday, I tell my friends I can't hang out. We'll play a game after the fights. My friends are going to the movies. I'm sorry, bro. It's Drake is Israel. Like I've done this for years. I want a payoff. There's no payoff. I sit here for years. I watch Nama Nunez versus Ribas. I watch Spivak Tybura, Hermanson Pfeiffer. And I'd be fine with it if 70 to 80% of it didn't end in split decisions or just a dominant decision no one cares about. This is the dark ages. Lucas Tracy just retired. We lost a real one. We lost a legend. That's what Spivak Tybura does to people. We lose a legend. We lose ourselves. We lose our pride and humanity because we sit there knowing it's absolute dog shit and you still watch it. It's like it's how bad it is. It's like a girl is above you and she's about to shit in your mouth and you're just so hooked on it you can't leave. You have to let it happen. That's how down bad you are for it. You're getting used like a fleshlight. It's bad. It's horrible. We're gonna do this the next 5 years of our life. Lucas Tracy couldn't handle it. Some other people, they couldn't handle it, and I don't blame you. I can barely handle it sometimes. But I promise y'all, I'ma handle it. I'ma be here every fucking horrible card, every dog shit, whatever. I'm gonna handle it, and I'm gonna make recaps so that you don't have to. I didn't make a recap for Tybor Spivak because it was nothing. There was nothing to recap. It was trash. It was nothing. It'd be like recapping a Naruto filler. It's like, what do you even say? They went to a cat village and that was it? You're never going to hear about it ever again in your life? It was nothing. And I have to sit here to try to make a video out of it. So instead of making a recap, I'm talking about how shit the fight nights are. And I'm trying to tell you all the truth about it. It's just a sad day. It's a sad day for me. It's a sad life for MMA fans. We get our occasional, like, Ilya Topuria, Max Holloway. We get that occasionally. But shit's been bad, man. And I honestly think it's because of Apex. I think it's because of Saudi Arabia. And just the Saudis in general. Honestly, bro, I thank Saudis for giving us the money. I thank Saudis for making UFC put on a good card for them. I really thank them for that because I want to see that. But you made them too rich. You understand? You made it so that they have to give you a good card, but they don't have to make a good card if they don't go to Saudi Arabia or Abu Dhabi. You made them too rich. And you made them spoiled. And you made them think they're bigger than they are. And they deserve more than what they deserve. While their fans sit here at 5 a.m. sometimes to watch robberies, to watch horrible refs, to watch really I don't know if some of y'all know this pain. Early stoppages, bro. Sometimes people will stay up till 5 a.m. They just watched a horrible card and they have to watch one of their favorite fighters get knocked out. But it wasn't really a knockout, it was just an early stoppage, and he gets up immediately. I stayed up. I watched Imma Cannonier. I was begging for Cannonier to get a title shot. I was saying Cannonier really upped his game. He looked amazing. Cannonier was 3-0 against Imavov 2-1, and they stopped it early to a knockout. And so I'm here eating my steak tacos and rice, trying to have fun, trying to be like, you know what? This fight's good. I love this fight. I can't wait to see who wins. Oh, he gets rocked once and they stop it. And he has to reset his whole career when he's already 40 years old. It's depressing. It's depressing. You're probably depressed. I don't blame you. I'm depressed from this. But I'm going to keep making videos. I'm going to keep the grind up. I'm going to keep doing this. We lost a real one in Lucas Tracy. Someone's got to take his spot. I'm not saying it's me, but someone's got to take his spot and bring some happiness in the souls of people who are just used like fleshlights and aren't happy no more. It's just the dark ages. We lose beloved people. We lose ourselves. We watch horrible fight nights and we just accept it because we don't have a choice. And it's like an addiction that you're trying to fight, but you've had that addiction since you were 12 years old, since the first time you saw it. And it's just pain. It's like I said, man. I would love to sit here and tell you, oh, there's brighter days ahead. Oh my god, there's gonna be so much good stuff. I'm guaranteeing you, it's only gonna get worse. But at least, like, I'm gonna give you the truth. It's only gonna get worse, but I'm gonna be here. I'm gonna be watching the horrible fight nights. I'm gonna be doing other shit to at least try making your life somewhat decent. And I'm gonna take the suffering of sitting there doing nothing, watching these fight nights, maybe talking, so y'all can just be on your phone and play games. So when the fight night's done, I can be like, you know what? I watched 7 hours of this, but I watched it for y'all. You know, I always used to say I don't think a content creator's life is hard. I don't think making videos is hard. I don't think it's a dream job. You should be so happy, which it is a dream job. If you're an MMA fan and you sit there consistently for fight nights and you want to make videos on it, it's hard. It's hard. It's a lot harder than I thought it would be. Like I said, I'm still here. I'm going to continue doing this because I enjoy it. And it's like the only thing I do enjoy besides watching horrible fight nights. But it's hard, man. But just like and subscribe if you do enjoy it. Like I said, I'm going to be here. So if I'm showing you support, I would appreciate some support back. If I'm being tortured for y'all's benefit, hopefully something back. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know, man. It's only gonna get worse. I want y'all to expect it to get worse. And I don't want to let y'all get your hopes up being like, oh, we watched 3, 4, 5 horrible fight nights back to back to back with a break in between. Let's get on the good shit now. No, it's not gonna happen. It's just not gonna happen.